Hi everybody, welcome back to Chorus Girl Quilting. You made it through the Tilda Soiree series, and if you haven't watched that or you need to see something again, or the show and tell, I'll link those in the description box below. But now you have seen a quilt from start to complete finish. Thanks for watching that. I'm getting ready to start a new project now in this weekly series I'm going to call What I'm Working On Wednesdays. And the first quilt we're going to feature on that is a pixel quilt. This is a pixel quilt. I'm making this for the handyman. It was going to be a surprise, but because I can't keep a secret sometimes because I get too excited about it, I went ahead and told him, and he needs to be behind the camera because it's way easier to shoot these videos with him there. So thanks, handyman. And so this quilt is for him. And he thinks it's cool, or he acted like he did anyway. So I found, I saw the gal that designs these kinds of quilts. I think on the Missouri Star website video, they do a Friday tutorial, and I think that's where I saw her first. Her name is Dee Bushrod. She's a British transplant to the Tulsa area, I think Tulsa, Oklahoma area. And she has a website called pixelquilts.com. And what you can do, she designs her own pixel quilts, and she's even made one for Buckingham Palace for the Queen's 75th Jubilee, and it's pretty fabulous. But she has developed a software application for her website where you can go onto the website and upload your own picture, and the software package will create this pixelated picture like this, and then it will create a complete pattern to make your pixel quilt. And there's some limitations as to how you can actually orient the picture. Like I wanted to get the whole Jeep in, but it needed to be like this orientation, and I couldn't figure out how to do that. And maybe she has a way to do that, and I just, non-techno me couldn't figure it out. But I think I got a pretty good representation of our little yellow Jeep. This quilt size will end up being 54 inches wide by 72 long. So it's kind of a throw quilt. And it gives you then a diagram with all of the blocks in it. They are 6.5-inch blocks based on divided into 1.25-inch segments. There are two ways you can do this. One is to do it with uniform size pixels, all 1.25-inch squares, and we'll talk about the math for that in a little bit. And so there's nine blocks across, 12 rows of 9 blocks. Each page of the pattern represents one row, which is great, because then you can't get it all confused. Also, the pattern that you get gives you a whole list of the fabrics you need in solid colors, based on the company or the brand you want to use. And they vary by brand. Some fabric brands have lots and lots of colors, and some have a little more limited, but you can switch them around and see how it changes your picture. And if you like these better, or these solids are more available to you, you can change it that way. So you have your pixelated picture, your diagram of the layout, the diagram of each row with all 9 blocks in it, a cutting plan, and for each color, and each color is labeled with a letter that fits into these blocks, and it tells you where to place everything. I actually have started this quilt, and a few weeks ago we were actually down at our little house in Arkansas, which you may have heard me refer to as the Love Shack, and I did some of the cutting there. And so I made a little video while I was doing that. So we're gonna take you over to that video, and we'll be back in just a little bit. Hello. as you can tell, I'm not at my regular spot. I'm at the Love Shack, and I'm taking advantage of the handyman being outside so I can talk about this quilt that I'm making for him and what I've been doing while we've been here. I decided to bring it with me to start cutting the pieces, and I am dividing all it. This has 14 colors in it, and if just for review, I am making what is called a pixel quilt. This isn't a very. It's hard to see, but this is the quilt divided into all its rows here, and each of these squares represents a block, which is about 6.5 inches, which is 6.5 inches square, and it has all of these little pixels in the form of pieces of fabric. And the way the designer and the developer of the software that creates this pattern creates where you can go and create your own patterns, does what she does is she figures out the largest piece of each color that can fit into one block, instead of there's an optional way to do it where you do uniform size pixels, which are 1.25 inches square. And I opted to go her way because I was not up for cutting over 6,000 pieces of fabric. As it stands right now, this has 14 colors total, and they range. Of course, the Jeep color is these kind of golden colors, but they range. There's several colors of blue and several colors of gray and black. And so far I've got 7 colors cut, and I've been putting them in plastic bags to keep them all divided. And I ended up, I try to shop at my local quilt shop as much as I can. There's several in our area that are really good, but none of them carried these fabrics, which is weird, but since they're all just solids. So I found a seller on Etsy who had all the colors, just all the colors. And when I got the package in the mail, I looked at it and thought, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to keep all these colors straight. Well, what's really cool is that they put a little sticky label on each color. So I decided to use that to put on each bag. And each color in the pattern has been labeled with a letter, like A is this color called Prairie Sky, B, C, whatever. And in the quilt, those letter names correspond with the spot that they go in each block. So you can see there's the A color and all of those where they belong. And each of these, this is cool also. Each page is one row of the quilt, and it shows you in what order to place them. They also have labels, let's say we're working on row 1, column A. It's almost like more mathing. I don't have to do any mathing on this. And here's row 1 is all 6.5 inch squares in the blue, and so is row 2. So it's an easy start. So that's where we are in the process. I'm getting ready to do some more cutting today. The piece count right now, doing I won't call it the easier method, but the less number of pieces method is already at 1,054. And I'm halfway through the colors, but I don't know if I'm mathematically halfway through all the pieces. But I'll give you an update later. Talk to you soon. Okay, so we're back, and we're going to talk about the numbers first. In that previous little clip, I talked about the fact that I could do 2 methods, and I chose Dee's method, which is, like I said, not necessarily the easier version. It's the less number of pieces version. So here's the numbers by the block. Okay, in the Uniform Pixel version, where every little square is the same size, we have, it's divided into eights, so it's an 8 by 8. If you filled them all up, there'd be 64 1¼ inch squares in each 6½ inch block. There are 9 blocks in a row and 12 rows in the quilt, so for a total of 108 blocks. Multiply that by 64 and you get a grand total of 6,912 1¼ inch squares. And I was not going to cut that many squares. And so clearly it's almost, actually, it's almost 7,000 squares, as opposed to the way Dee does these and uses the largest piece of any color that she can in a block. That changes the number significantly to 2,685 pieces, all based on that 1¼ inch. So what we do first, I have all my bags of fabric here, and they're all labeled, thankfully, with the little labels that came on the fabric from the fabric shop that I ordered from. And I use a piece of cardboard with some batting that I have kind of glued on here, and I lay out I determine each little piece and where it goes. This is the block I'm actually working on. And what was really funny is that my brain could not get wrapped around the division into eights and based on 6½ inches. It was just messing with my brain. And then I had this aha moment, and it all became very simple. And Dee even warns you in your pattern that at first it's going to drive you crazy trying to figure out where all these pieces go, and then once you get the hang of it, it's very easy. And she's not kidding. So what we're going to do now, and the reason I use this batting is that this fabric sticks to it, and I can actually do that. It reminds me of my Sunday school class flannel board, and if you know about that. So I have a few more pieces to put in this block. I'm going to turn it around so it's going the right way. So I have to put a couple of pieces like this, a couple of squares, and this bag I'm working out of right here, I think that's the one that has the absolute most. I think there's like 400 pieces in that bag, and most of them are these squares. So I put a square there and a square there, and it does not even remotely look like it's going to turn into anything that looks like a 6½ inch square right now. And then I pull out, and you can see there's just a lot of subtlety in the colors from, some of these grays are very, very close together. So in tone, and so it's really a good thing that they labeled them. I'm really thankful for that. I need to go back on and leave a review about that because it was super helpful. So there is the entire block laid out, and I will kind of look at my diagram here and figure out where I can do little units at once. I usually start by sewing these little squares together wherever I can. So then after I do that, I get a block that looks, this one will be different, but it looks like this nice size. And you would think I'd be so done with doing little pieces of fabric after doing this baby back here. But the advantage here is everything is square. There are no diagonal seams. And so it's all straight lines. And I have a good guide on my machine, good sewing guide on my sewing machine foot. I have a stiletto. That really helps helps me guide the fabric all the way under the foot so there's no shifting. And this is a row here. This is row number 5. So I'm actually a third of the way through this through this quilt, and next week when I post, I'll have it up on the design wall so you can kind of see the progress. But this is part of the front of the Jeep. We're getting down. I think we're getting down into the grill and the headlights. But I will add that block on. You work one block at a time, one row at a time. So that is that. So that's it for the pixel quilt right now. That's where we are. Again, I will put a link to the pixelquilts.com website in the description, along with the Tilda Soiree series playlist link. So if you want to check that out, if you haven't already, you can do that. Like and subscribe if you want to keep seeing all the updates and fun stuff that's coming up. Like this coming Sunday's Sunday Show and Tell is going to be a quilt. I call it Woman in Gold. It was one I made 2 summers ago, and I actually entered it in our county fair, and it won grand champion. And I took it also to the state fair, and I entered it last summer in the Kansas City Regional Quilt Festival show, knowing I wasn't going to win anything at that show. I just wanted to get some judges' feedback about things maybe I could improve, or things that they liked that I do well and that I should keep doing. So that's going to be Sunday Show and Tell, and I should by next Wednesday, have some materials and the pattern all ready for a project that one of my friends has kind of commissioned from me. It's a baby quilt for a family member of hers, and it uses a technique called foundation paper piecing. If you're not a quilter, it's basically you sew your pieces onto the drawn pattern on paper, and it's going to be really cool. I think it's going to be really cute. So that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see more of what we're doing here at Chorus Girl Quilting. Bye.